Hi, I'm Rain.
And I'm Katie.
And together we're Wicked Rain Studio. You may have seen our video on how to pattern a corset, and in that video I mentioned radial projection as a way to blow up patterns.
Radial projection is a great way to blow up a pattern, and this is really useful when you find historic patterns that are often in books. It's also useful for patterns you might have bought online, and this way you don't have to have a big printer or print out multiple pieces of paper.
So one problem with radial projection is that when you use it, you're blowing it up to the exact scale of the original. And so if you're trying to fit to somebody, it's going to need to be adjusted a little bit after you create your full pattern. But other than that, it's really great for getting something from this size to full size rather quickly.
Yeah. Well, let's get to it.
Here's the pattern I'm going to blow up. The first thing I need to do is determine the scale. In some patterns like this, you may already have a scale to use, but this one does not have one provided. So I'm going to measure the waistline and use my own waist measurement. The waistline of this pattern currently measures 1 1/4 inches. Next, I need to cut out all of my pieces and label them. Now it's time to determine my ratio. First, I need my waist measurement, 30.5 inches, which I will divide in half to get 15.25. Now I can divide that number by the measurement of the waist on the tiny paper pattern. My multiplication factor is 12.2. I will use this number for the entire skirt. I can now begin projecting. First, I will tape the pattern piece down to the larger paper. Then, I will push pin the measuring tape so 0 is at one corner. Now it's time to plot points. Find a point to plot on the tiny pattern and measure the distance from the corner. Then, multiply that number by the factor, in my case, 12.2. Now, keep the measuring tape straight and mark a dot at the calculated number. Follow the same steps for each point on the pattern. I like to plot out each corner as well as a few points along curves so I can easily connect the dots for my full-scale pattern. It's also wise to plot out all darts, any decorative elements, and also informative notches. Sometimes, if the pattern piece is small enough, it's faster to just use a ruler instead of a measuring tape. But if you do this, be sure you're using the same point as your 0 point for every time you plot. There's a decorative trim along the bottom of this panel, and as you can see, I'm following the same steps to connect the dots in order to create the placement of this trim. After everything is drawn out, you may need to true up your pattern to double check that your lines are correct. This is usually quite minimal. And that's all there is to it. It's pretty straightforward. This skirt is going to fit my waist, but I'm going to have to double check. It might be too long or too short for me, depending on how my scale matches up to the person who originally wore it back in 1890.
Be sure to like and subscribe our channel, and if you haven't had a chance to yet, go check out our corset patterning class.
Is that video? Is it up here?
I don't know, where
Where?
that one. That one?
Is it there?